Good evening. Thank you all for coming. Today, I, Azor Futterman, announce my candidacy for the mayor of Whitbread. As you know, my father was the mayor of this town for 30 years, and he was a devoted public servant, but not a devoted family man. Since my mother was not his wife, when she told him that she was going to give me his name, he told her, "If you want to give your son my name, you can use the first name, but not the last name." I think I can speak for half a dozen other illegitimate Azors in town that we'd rather have had the last name, Meyer. I come to you today not simply the son of the great Mayor Meyer, but also a man of the people. I do not expect to be mayor because it's the family business, as a job that is handed to me because of birthright, but because of the job that you know I can do. Because I've worked hard to be where I am today. In college, I would take a class 2 or 3 times to ensure that I had the knowledge necessary to get a passing grade. After college, I worked 2 long years in the trenches as a district manager before my uncle made me a senior vice president at Futterman Electronics. Futterman Electronics was then the town's largest employer. At Futterman Electronics, I learned many valuable lessons that will help me as mayor. I learned about trust when my uncle left the country with the company's pension fund. I worked hard to help restore trust and to provide for those who are suffering. Through my hard work, I was able to give the survivors nearly half of their losses. Of course, it also helped that so many people committed suicide, so I didn't have to worry about paying their pensions back. I was also director of the Robin Hood Savings and Loan, and that turned out to be a profitable time for us. The large number of home foreclosures provided us with the cheap land we needed to ensure that the toxic waste dump was located here. I'm very proud of the toxic waste dump and the revenue it continues to provide the town. It's unfortunate that it is located next to the elementary school, but I know that kids like making those glow-in-the-dark snowmen in the winter. I'm just sorry that the 60 Minutes expose on the affair led to the collapse of the Robin Hood Savings and Loan. I miss the green pins they used to give away. I'm proud that I was able to lead this town's renaissance in the 1990s following the terrible recession. Futter.com, our internet spinoff, started with 10 dedicated employees, and within 18 months we employed more than 45,000 people. Our stock value made us the 3rd most valuable company in the state. I just wish we had actually produced an actual product of some kind. I'd just like to say that the fact that 10 of us founders sold off our stock options for millions did not make it the Ponzi scheme that Business Week accused us of. I have always been civic-minded and have been active in fundraising at many of the town's nonprofit institutions, such as the Whitbread Nursing Home. While quite profitable, I see now that the death bingo was in poor taste, although some of those old guys hung on longer than expected just to beat the odds. It was the poison cream corn that made me realize that some people were taking things too seriously. I helped organize the theater company's Masquerade Casino Night, which seemed to be a big success until the robbery by the masked men. But the most successful fundraiser I ever did was the Policeman's Ball and Pub Crawl. I was told it was too ambitious, but I showed those naysayers at the Optimist Club. The movers and shakers of this town gave generously to see the police force drink themselves blotto. And when the chief and his deputies all got DUIs at the state troopers checkpoint, well, the checks just kept coming in. But enough about the past. Let's talk about the future and issues facing Whitbread today. 4 years ago, our current mayor was elected because of some grandiose plans of economic development. And sure, she brought some new businesses into town, but she ignored our town's most pressing problems. I refer, of course, to potholes and snow removal. Oh, I know what the current mayor will say about me, that I'm a muckraker, and she'll call me Mucker Futterman. But in this campaign, I'm not just going to point out the problems, I'm going to offer solutions. Solutions you won't hear from our current mayor. I hate potholes, and it infuriates me that it takes so long to fill them. I've been told it's a people problem. Potholes are a seasonal problem, and the town can't afford to hire the number of people needed because 9 months of the year, there wouldn't be enough work for them to do. That, ladies and gentlemen, is old-time thinking. There are plenty of people willing to work on a temporary basis. You see them every day hanging out by the Quickie Mart, willing to work for as little as 1 day. As mayor, I will use these willing workers to fill our potholes. But Azor, you say, how many of those guys are illegal immigrants? That, folks, is what makes this a win-win situation. You see, after a day or even a week of working potholes, then we talk with immigration. We can have these illegals deported before we cut the first check. We get the potholes filled and save the town money. What I keep hearing from everyone is that taxes are too high. We need to cut taxes. The only way to cut taxes is to stop spending. So I looked at the budget and realized that I can easily cut our local taxes in half. In half! Do you want your taxes cut in half? I know I do. Well, half of our town's budget is for the schools. I don't have kids. Why am I paying for the schools? This town can save lots of money, your tax dollars, by privatizing the schools. So, if you have kids, you pay. If you don't have kids, you don't. Seems fair to me. Does that seem fair to you? As it stands now, many parents are paying twice for education. They're paying their taxes and paying for private school, like my parents did when they sent me to the Jackson Officer School. Yes, I'm proud to be called a Jack officer. I know that many people say that we can't privatize the schools, but that's just reactionary thinking. When my father was mayor, he privatized a traditional town function, garbage collection. He was able to cut taxes, and thanks to his brother Alfred, who won the collection contract, he helped make the city as clean as it ever was. We can do the same with the schools. Privatize, and the schools will be about as good. I hear a lot about the falling test scores of the Whitbread schools, and I have a solution with a concept that worked for us at Futterman Electronics. When we had a division that was not performing up to par, we didn't let it pull the whole company down. No, we set it aside, put it off book, said, this part doesn't count. The way to improve the school test scores is to do the same thing. How? Send all the stupid kids home sick on test day. If the kids are too stubborn to pretend to be sick, well, I've got some creamed corn I can feed them. Just kidding. Another problem we're having both in and out of the schools is gang violence. It seems like every month we hear about another innocent victim, a child or a grandmother, who've been shot by a stray bullet in a gang-related incident. We know that it's nearly impossible to remove these guns from gangs or to stop them from getting more. So there is only one thing we can do: gun training. We need to get these gang members to become experts in the use of firearms so that they always hit what they're aiming at. The loss of innocent lives has to end. A contributing factor to the gang problem is the number of abandoned houses in the Old Town area and the Bobo neighborhood. These houses are a blight and are often used as drug houses and for other illegal activity. My proposal is for the town to knock down all the abandoned houses and plant trees. You see, trees will not only add beauty to a depressing area, but also to aid in development, because there's nothing that appeals to developers more than a stand of trees. They look at a bunch of trees, and the first thing they think is how much they want to bulldoze down those suckers and build something. As mayor, I will work closely with developers to ensure that we don't have more disasters like last year's development of the old Thompson farm, where the developers not only were unaware that the town's sewer lines didn't go out that far, but they also built 3 homes on the farm's septic field. And to think, I complain when my basement leaks during the heavy storms. Increased development leads to other problems, such as crowded roads. And our town has to deal with the tremendous growth outside of our town over in Bedford County. Traffic is increasing on Highway 61 as people commute from Bedford County into the city. Some on the town council want to ask the state to build a Highway 61 bypass to remove the commuter traffic from our streets. But this is not a solution that benefits Whitbread. We want these commuters to stop and shop at the stores and other businesses on Highway 61 corridor. So my solution is not to get the commuters away, but to give the locals their own roads. I'm thinking secret roads that we don't put on any maps, with gates, like in a gated community, that can only open to registered Whitbread citizens. These are the types of solutions that only Azor Futterman can provide. So I ask you, do you want the same old, or are you ready for something completely different? If that's the kind of town you want, come election day, vote Azor Futterman.